Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a blooper-free introduction to Defender Resolves First, an unmatched podcast hosted by yours truly. That's Tommy Elliott, a real name John. I'm here with my host or my co-host. Excuse me, I said blooper-free, but wasn't quite right. I'm here with my co-host Michael, also known to the Discord as Sidious256. Mike, say hi.
Bye. Oh wait, we're not supposed to do bloopers this one.
Oh,
All right.
Mike, what are we doing?
I know. What are we doing? I guess.
Oh, just a little silliness for you guys to kick things off. If you can't tell, Mike and I have had a very long, engaging evening playing battle after battle after battle of the brand new Restoration Games release, Unmatched Redemption Row, and it's made us a little kooky, wouldn't you say so, Mike?
I would say it made us something. It would make us something.
I think I think on this podcast tonight we're just going to have to let our insanity guide us.
you know, there was a lot of trash talk this evening. There was a
Wow.
lot of trash talk this evening.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Well, you know what? It's good enough for us. So, what we're doing tonight is we finally got our hands on Redemption Row. We broke that puppy up. We broke that puppy open and we played some games. And we're going to kind of just talk through our first impressions. Just to be clear and upfront with you guys, this is not a review. This is just two dudes reacting to a set that we really anticipated. We're going to talk about the board mechanic. We're going to talk about the overall aesthetics. We're going to get a little bit into each fighter, not too much. As most of you probably know, if you're active in the Discord, Moon Knight is my favorite Marvel character of all time. So I obviously have some thoughts. And then, Mike, there's some spiciness.
I would say that it's kind of a bit of a hellfire, if you will, more than spiciness.
Hey!
We are going to go over the Ghost Rider controversy. We like to call it the Vroom Maneuver or the Zoom Zoomies
It's
or
it's the Zoomy Zoomies, baby.
yeah, the Zoom Zoomies or it's whatever you want to name them. We all know it as we're gonna spend a Hellfire and boost our maneuver. And is that a bad thing? And is this how Ghost Rider is meant to just wipe the competition or not? We have a great hands-on opinion about that. And just to reiterate what he said, these are all opinions formulated, folks. So take them how you will. We know that we probably will be wrong with some of this, and we might be spot on with others. So that's what we're going for, and just first impressions. So with that, why don't we start off by talking a little bit about our aesthetics? What did you think about this, John? What did you think when you opened up this box?
Ayo, well, it's no secret that I'm a super big comic book dork, so there was some talk in the Discord for a while that they weren't excited that Unmatched was getting into the Marvel territory because they thought that Marvel was a little overdone. And to them, I say, boo, good sirs, because
Boo!
because yeah, Marvel is overdone. I hear you, but they picked like just such off the wall characters for the game, and sorry, but I want to see every character possible represented with the kind of quality that Restoration Games brings to Unmatched. So when they told me that we were going to get Ghost Rider and Moon Knight and Luke Cage in the stylings like of Unmatched, like with their production design, I was like, bring it on. I don't even care if these decks suck. They don't, by the way. Spoiler alert. But yeah, aesthetically, the card backs on these are like top tier. So before this, my favorite card back was Beowulf because I really like how they and I we kind of talked about this on the last episode with the Beowulf book club, but the aesthetic of like making it like the book, the epic poem of Beowulf and Wiglaf. Like I've always really liked that. But these now I would say are my favorite card backs, particularly no surprise, Moon Knight. But I also do really like Ghost Riders and Luke Cages. If I had to rank the card backs, I'd go Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, Luke. But yeah, I mean, this is such a treat to look at. Like I would pay to have a print of the Moon Knight card back up. I mean, it's gorgeous. What do you think, Mike?
As far as card back goes, I think that they knocked it out of the park. I think you're right. We do. If there is a ranking, I'd probably say, as difficult as this is going to be, say, I think I'd probably go Ghost Rider, then Luke Cage, and then possibly Moon Knight. Not because of, I see the shock in your face. If you see his face right now, y'all,
Whoa.
you think that I just assaulted him, honestly. Um,
Wow. That's
the reason
insane.
being, I really like the breakthrough art of Luke Cage, but the fact that you have so much more potential, I want to feel like with the Ghost Rider, and they just, I think they hit every bit of it for their card back. As far as the figurines go, I think it's hard to beat that motorcycle, man. With that chain going, I think it's Ghost Rider. I do think Moon Knight, and I want to say a close second on Moon Knight. I want to say it is so close. It is. Yeah, I mean, if you told me to switch them, I'd agree with you. Um, and then Luke Cage in a far third. And that's nothing against whoever decided to, like I said, very opinionated. This is nothing to harp at the creator of the design or how it came out. It's just, I don't want to say it's not what I expected, but it just, it doesn't, I don't think it competes with the other two. That's how I want to phrase
Yeah,
that.
I think the Luke Cage sculpt is a little below the other two, and we know it was revealed in the Discord when that was kind of brought up. Like for example, Luke's sculpt doesn't have his beard, his
The
goatee.
goatee. Yeah, the
Yeah,
goatee.
and Justin, president of Restoration Games, was like, "Well, the only thing I'll say about that is that Mondo handed the production on the
Yeah,
sculpts."
and you could tell. I don't, and that's nothing towards Mondo. Like I said, I'm just trying to do this within its own box. But outside of it, I might even boldly say it might be my least favorite sculpted of all of them.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I might like it a little more than Little Red, maybe, but it's also in a box with Ghost Rider and Moon Knight. Who, so
yeah,
so
you
that's
just put them next to two titans,
yeah.
like
It's kind of interesting on that front because I don't know. Like, it's clear that Mondo was capable of doing something supremely awesome. I love the Moon Knight sculpt. I love the cape in the shape of the crescent moon, which is like such a signature design choice to have the cape do that. And then he's also got one of his like moon darts in hand. Um, Everybody's like, "Oh, those are like his batarangs," and to you, sir, I say, educate yourself. Anyway, so I really like the sculpt. And one thing I wanted to mention, just to go back a little bit, um, on the card backs, you were talking about how like Ghost Rider was your favorite. There's one really sweet detail on this card back, and it's the border is his chain, and I I don't know, that's the coolest thing.
yeah, there's a lot going on in this set aesthetically, and I think that they tried to do that on purpose. They tried to get the aesthetics right, and you can do that really well with a comic book series, right? I mean, that's what comics are all about: is how well you can translate verbiage to aesthetic. I think that's a big implementation of that. Kind of go off topic here for a second. We were kind of mentioning figurines. I gotta ask, what's your favorite figurine of
Oh,
all the unmatched?
oh, of all the unmatched.
Hold on. Let's do it properly. This is an episode about Redemption Row. What is your favorite in order of one, two, and three? Even though I think Luke Cage is probably number three.
Yeah.
How do you want to go here?
It's gonna be Moon Knight first. There. So the thing with Moon Knight is, so I saw somebody. I don't remember if this was in the Discord or on Board Game Geek, but like somebody was expressing disappointment that they went with this particular suit for the like figure and not Mr. Knight, which is a really cool costume, but I don't know how well that translates dynamically to a sculpt. So going with this outfit, like the more traditional Moon Knight outfit, that like armored look and the cape and the hood, I mean, it just presents really dynamically. I love the little detail of like, so his legs and his feet are not connected to anything. He's like just hanging, which is really cool because I mean they could have just like had this connect for structural integrity or whatever, but they don't. Like it hangs, it's off of the cape. It's really neat. I'm in love with the sculpt, and I really love that. Again, the cape does the half crescent moon because that the cape forming that shape is such a signature thing. Like it's such a signature artistic choice that every run of Moon Knight has done. Like whether you're talking about the Doug Munch run, from like the late 70s and 80s all the way up through Lemire's run, which was a huge inspiration for this set, by the way. Like this is just you got to do it. It's even in the new show. You've seen it in the trailers, the Disney Plus show.
Have.
Yeah.
Wonderful
So
show, by the way.
so yeah, that would be my favorite. Ghost Rider would be my second favorite, and that sculpt is nothing to sneeze at. It's not Moon Knight. So as the Moon Knight fanboy, that's where I'm
All
going.
right, and moving out, favorite sculpt of all?
Good question. I really like the Beowulf sculpt because it's really detailed, but I think my favorite sculpt overall might be Sun Wukong. It's like it's dynamic. Like that's what I really like in a sculpt. Like that's why I like Moon Knight so much. Ghost Riders is also very dynamic. He's whipping the chain, but yeah, I think maybe Sun Wukong, if not Moon Knight. Like if I had to pick somebody other than Moon Knight, maybe him. I just like that one a lot. It's some cool design going on there. How about you?
Well, you can take your picks and shove them because it is obviously Bigfoot and his hairiness and a log on his shoulder with a wonderful grass pad around him.
Don't give me that.
The detail on that. Oh no, yeah, I'll take that log against any of yours every day. The fact that you even put them near Bigfoot's wonderful statue just disappoints me, John. Just disappoints me.
I'm so sorry. No, but you're right. That is a cool sculpt. I think it gets forgotten about. Like Medusa's sculpt is pretty neat too. Like the details on her snake hair.
The hair, right? Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Every single sculpt has its own little thing. I think that's something that needs to be said. The art is just awesome, and they resonate that throughout Redemption Row, and I'm sure Hell's Kitchen when that eventually makes its way through.
Can't wait, baby! As the Daredevil Stan. Okay, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. We'll have an episode of that too, also. So yeah, I mean the set is great. I really like because I was kind of curious. I mean, in previous 4-packs, the layout is like the 4 minis up top, right, and then the decks and sidekicks below, and at least the way the box is packaged. So I was curious how they were going to handle that with only 3, but the same size box. So I like how they did it with the fighters just being next to the decks. It's neat. It gives it its own unique visual identity to separate it.
Yeah. Moving on from our aesthetics, we know about a new board mechanic. What's up with that?
What's up with that? What's up with that? Gosh, I hope you guys listening to this like watch SNL or that's a wasted reference. Yeah, so there's a new board mechanic. It's items that you place on the board, and they go on designated spaces, designated tiles on the board, basically. And if you're in a space with the item, then you can use it either in combat if it is like a combat token, or the other option is that it's a scheme token. So you can use an action to scheme using the token, then the token goes back in the box, or you can defend or attack by picking up like a combat token, and it works. The rules state that basically when you pick it up, your attack card or defense card that you're playing gains a during combat ability that lets you use the card. So like you can pick up a chair that adds +1 to your attack or defense, and if the opposing person like faints it, then the item gets discarded because it becomes a during combat effect. So yeah, like the idea is you're Luke Cage, you're running around the raft. That's the map, the super prison from the comic books, and you're picking up a chair and you're like slugging Ghost Rider across the face with the chair. That's the idea behind this board mechanic.
Yeah, I'm getting very big WWE vibes, and I think that I always remember John Cena with a chair, or like this guy comes in with a bat, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
It's literally that, yeah.
Literally that. I'm gonna make a bold statement. I am not the biggest fan of this. Does that mean that I have to like it because it's out? No. Do I think it has its place? I'm sure it does. Do I personally like it? I'm gonna have to say no.
Yes.
That's just a personal opinion.
No, yeah. So this is like my least favorite board mechanic that we've seen so far. I don't know. I think I could definitely be proven wrong on this, but I think that this will be the most divisive map mechanic we've ever seen, and I think okay, like I try to formulate why I don't like it because it's so much like a gut reaction thing, but I think that it complicates. Let me think about this. I think that it complicates a game that strength is its lack of complication. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It adds it adds like an extra layer to the game that like I hesitate to say it didn't need because like when people say like who wants that? Who needs that? Like well, you don't know yet, right? But like having seen it and having played it, I don't know that it had added a whole lot to what we were doing. And that could just be because we're used to playing this game a certain way. And so the idea of like running to items and using them is still really foreign to the just like the way that we think to play a match. And with time, we'll get a little more accustomed to it. But as of right now, like just first initial impressions, having played a few rounds with the tokens, I don't really care for them.
Yeah, I got hit by a 4 value Gaze of Stone, and I was not happy because I defended with a 3. So, anyway,
Woof. Well,
um,
that's kind of fun. And actually, listeners, in one of the games we played, he was Ghost Rider doing the Zoomy Zoomy BS, and I was Moon Knight, and he had 1 health left, and he probably could have won it, but he like again because he wasn't thinking we're not used to playing with these item tokens. And one of the scheme cards or scheme tokens, I should say, is you play it and it's deal 1 damage to each fighter in your zone. So I just used that to win. I just killed Ghost Rider outright, and Mike was like, "I'm sorry, you can do what now?"
yeah,
Like,
I got bamboozled, y'all. I got bamboozled.
so. I mean that didn't particularly feel great. I think to either one of us that like I won that way. But again, we're learning how to play with
Yeah,
these, so that's
you
part of
learn
it.
to adapt too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the thought process. But again, personal opinions. Maybe you guys can send us hate mail about our personal opinions on it. But I think I'm a resounding not so much fan, and maybe John echoes that.
Please don't send us hate mail.
Yeah,
You
we
can
don't like hate mail.
not at all.
Um, moving on.
Woof. Let's get into these fighters, man.
Yeah, I think we could start off with Luke Cage.
Okay.
John, what do you think, man? You might have played him once or twice or seen him in action.
Yeah. I think everybody's really excited about Luke Cage, and he's cool. He's cool. So if you're listening, if this is like the first time you're hearing like about the set, or you have been waiting to hear about the set and like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to John and Mike talk about the set for the very first time. Kudos to you, and I'm so sorry that you picked this avenue to be spoiled on. But let's just talk about Luke Cage's ability, which is Luke Cage takes 2 less combat damage from attacks. So when defending, Luke Cage wins combat if he takes no damage, even if he didn't play a card. So this is a pretty game-changing ability in terms of what the game can offer. I think he has a lot of pure defense cards, and they're all like pretty low value, like ones or twos. He has like a 3 value regroup now while defending, which is pretty sick. His regroup has a boost of 3, which is just chef's kiss. So Luke's cool. He brings back Commanding Impact from Sinbad as a common card, and he introduces something that we've seen a lot of discussion about in the Discord. He has a 2 value pure defense card called Trash Talk that immediately cancels all effects on your opponent's card. And after combat, if you won the combat, which you most likely did, you end the turn. So there was some like really fun explanation from Noah on what exactly it means to end your opponent's turn. A lot of like so any of that person's like after combat effects don't go off. Any like end of turn special abilities like don't get to go through. It's just a really unique thing that this brings to the game and changes moving forward.
Yeah, so things like Bruce Lee's jump, Bigfoot's card draw, those aren't considered end of the turn. That's like after the last part of the turn, so you can still do those. From my understanding, it's mostly like Robin's hop after
Yep.
combat,
Yep.
stuff like that, just gone. I think that's going to be a game changer. I almost assuming this isn't going to be the last time we see that wording in Unmatched. Um, I will say he has. I don't know if he has the most off the top of my head, and I probably should have done some research. But he has, I believe, 8 blues,
Hmm.
8 blue cards, 2 skin like titaniums, 2 power mans, 2 got my back, and 3 trash talk. Is that 2, 4, 6,
Yeah.
8? Right?
Not.
Yeah,
Oh well,
two,
Misty Knight has some.
4, 6.
I think
No,
it's
9 blues.
9 blues.
Nine
He does have
blues.
the most. He does have the most. Yeah.
And that's counting the Misty Knight one. Got my back, and then the trash talks are technically any's. So technically, Misty Knight could use trash talk to cancel the opponent's cards and
And
end
I
the turn.
mean, got my back is Misty Knight may swap with spaces with Luke Cage, and then Luke is the defender. So it may as well be. It may
It
as well
may
be.
as well be his card,
Yeah,
right?
it may as well be a Luke Cage card. Yeah, I mean, in your games, Mike, have you felt like the key with Luke is knowing when to defend and when not to defend?
I'm going to be personally open about this. I think the key to playing Luke is knowing how to play Misty Knight, not knowing how to play Luke Cage.
Oh, that's super
Um,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. As far as you're defending, not defending, I'm going to answer that first because that's probably the biggest question people have. Short answer is yes. Long answer is there's going to be a lot of matchups like Robin Hood. You're going to question yourself every single one, right? Like, because he has his 2 value, just gain back the 2 value that draws 2 cards. And then he also has the Hunter's Eye that shoots for 5.
Yeah.
Well, you should hit the 5 with a defense of some sort, and that'd be great. Um, the That's where your questions are going to be coming into play, and I think he's going to wreck Robin. But then there's characters such as uh, Medusa. You don't have to worry about Gaze of Stone, but you're going to have to worry about that 7 coming in, and
Yeah. Right.
it's that's what she's going to go after you every time for is that 7. So questioning when to defend or not is going to be a big part of your gameplay. I think every game should have it. Bruce Lee, you're probably going to have it a lot less because, yeah, his values are 3, but he's going to keep gaining actions. He's going to keep gaining action. So, yeah, you're probably not going to care about it too much, but he's only doing 1 damage per card. So, can you get your damage off before his? And then with his low life total, whatever. But Misty Knight, what I think people don't realize is she can ranged commanding impact and she can ranged still standing. It's not just her regular pushback card, which is only a 2 value, move the fighter 3 spaces. It's not the Daughter of the Dragon, which is an amazing card, which is if Misty Knight's adjacent, the value of the card is 6 instead, 2 value otherwise. So what if you walked up adjacent to somebody with a commanding impact? They think it's Daughter of the Dragon, so they feint it, or they think it's Daughter of the Dragon, they feint it, and it's your commanding impact. It's
That's
how you
free.
play
Yeah.
Misty Knight is what I think will dictate a lot of your games. Um, I think that's going to be the long term effect of Luke Cage. I see him doing okay. You look at him and you're like power bruiser, 6 values, 5 values, great defense cards. I've been there where I've had 5 blues in my hand
Yeah.
and I just can't do anything. Um, he also has what I call Mistform Light, which is where's my money?
Oh yeah.
Mistform Light, which is get adjacent to the nearest opposing fighter and gain an action. Um, I think that's more thematic than it is for anything else, personally, because I don't.
Yeah.
I could have foresee them just doing like Mistform, but called it something else. That's going to be very handy because he's only a 2 movement hulking guy. Um, he's not meant to be that guy to get around the map. He's meant to be able to take damage and deal out a bunch of damage, a bruiser. Um, I've said a lot on the character. I want to hear from you now. What do you think?
No, I mean I like him. I think that you're right in that he'll do okay. Ultimately, he'll do okay in the mid. I hadn't thought about the Misty Knight stuff, so that's something I'm gonna be thinking about. Like next time I play him, he's not my favorite character in this set. And that's not to do with his design or anything. I'm one of those people, and you know this about me, Mike, and anybody who's been like talking to me in the Discord for a long time knows this. I care a lot more about like a fighter's theme or like my connection to the fighter than I do whether they're good or not. Like that's why I played King Arthur for so long because I like the character of King Arthur. You know what I mean? That's why I latched onto Dracula in the when that set first dropped, like Dracula and Invisible Man. I played the heck out of them. Dracula ended up being great. Invisible Man ended up needing uh, somebody who understood the character more than I did to play, but I still played him a lot. It's just because like I gravitate toward the character more than I do the deck. So that's why this leads is a good segue. That's why I was really hoping that Moon Knight was going to be good, because Moon Knight could have been a trash tier meta deck. Like Moon Knight could have gotten flounced by King Arthur and Spike and like Willow, and I still would play Moon Knight every time, just because I like the character so much. So I'm happy to say, just getting moving on from Luke into Moon Knight, he doesn't suck. He's actually pretty great.
I'm going to make a bold statement here. If anybody's going to break the meta out of the Marvel characters of Redemption Row, it's going to be Moon Knight.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh, I'm gonna hold you to that when we get to some Ghost Rider spiciness. Just remember you
I
said
think
that.
he's going to do better than Ghost Rider. I do. I think if once somebody figures out how. Do you remember when Sherlock first came out? I don't remember the exact time when he first came out, but what I do remember when you got me into this game was it was like Sherlock. I don't understand Sherlock. It doesn't make sense. And then people were like, "Well, you're probably playing him a little bit wrong. Here, why don't you play him like this?" So you play Sherlock completely differently. Then you look at Invisible Man, and you're like, "Well, you're playing Invisible Man wrong. You need to play him like this." And all of a sudden, their win rates just kind of got a lot
Yeah.
higher. Sherlock skyrocketed. Invisible Man decided to do a puddle jump, but it is the same concept. Um,
Jeez. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Moon Knight, I think, is going to do quite well when people figure out how to play him. And it's not that he's super difficult. It's what card do I want to play at what time. Maybe this will be a character whose draw is more effective in their deck and in their gameplay than others. Um, I always say that the character with the most dramatic impact on their card draw is probably Jekyll and Hyde. Personally,
Yeah.
I think if you just get screwed on your card draw on Jekyll and Hyde, your whole game is just. I'm sorry, you're gonna have a rough game. Um, in that manner, I think Moon Knight can kind of get around that, but you're gonna have to really play with your insanity, if you will. Pun intended.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
I mean, that's the part that I like.
And with that, I think he's going to be the most potential to break the meta shift. Am I saying he's absolutely going to? No, but he will have the most potential. Beyond that, I think he's just a great character. I think he's going to be fun. I think people are going to want to play him. I think he's going to be viable. I think he's always going to be played for fun. I mean, like you were saying with Arthur, how many people there's a website dedicated to Arthur and making him better and fun. You heard it from me
Right.
first, Peter Sony. And if you're listening, I love your stuff. Did somebody talk about Arthur? I'm going to hear the head come. I'm going to see the head come around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's Moon Knight. You're going to want to play him. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you want to play him all the time, right? I mean, it's just
Well,
something you
yeah.
want to do.
I mean, there's like I'm like choosing what to say now because I know, spoiler alert to anybody listening, but we're definitely going to do an unmatched book club on Moon Knight. I'm going to have Pin on, who is like, as you guys know, the other big Moon Knight fan in the Discord. So I'm like wondering how much I want to fanboy out right now versus then, but I like I'm super satisfied. I mean, this is like cool. When they first revealed who the three identities were, Moon Knight, Khonshu, and Mr. Knight, I was like a little skeptical that Khonshu was going to be one of the identities. Um, and just because Khonshu is not necessarily like, I don't know, playing as Khonshu is maybe not necessarily the way I would have interpreted the comics, but I think that it makes the most sense mechanically. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, no, it actually does. It really
Yeah,
does.
because like the three identities of Moon Knight are Mark Spector, Jake Lockley, and Stephen Grant, and those are boring hero card names. So,
Yeah,
like,
it is.
you don't get like if you were to do it that way, you wouldn't even get Moon Knight. And so like doing them this way makes sense, like just for like a fun perspective, and also mechanically, it makes sense to have like Khonshu be in there because Khonshu's super overpowered. He has +2 to his stack, and he doesn't take damage from effects other than combat damage. So the identity switching aspect of Moon Knight being his whole thing is phenomenal. Like that's a huge aspect of the character, his dissociative identity disorder. I was curious how Restoration was going to tackle that because that can be something that like people could criticize if it wasn't handled like sensitively or if it was ignored completely, for example. But making it the whole thrust of the deck is super great. I love that Moon Knight is a move 3 character because he's a traveler of the night. That's his whole shtick. He protects the night travelers. I love that Mr. Knight is included in this, like, and that we get the art from Mr. Knight. And I really like Matt Taylor's art, and it's very clear that it draws a lot from Jeff Lemire's like very famous run. There's, I don't know, I really like, okay, just fanboying. I really like a totally sane thing to do that lets you deal 2 damage to both fighters in the combat. I like that if you play it as Khonshu, you don't take damage, but that there are going to be moments in the game where you do it, right? Like you do take the 2 damage, and that's just like a Moon Knight thing to do. Like, yeah, I'll beat the shit out of myself. Or sorry, I'll beat the crap out of my. You're gonna have to bleep me, Mike. I'll beat the crap out of myself to beat the crap out of you. Like, I really like that. That's the part I like. If you won the combat, you may look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and discard one of them, and then you place the other 2 back in any order.
Best
Just
card
like,
he has. If you
yeah,
ask me, that's the best card he has.
like the flavor of these is really cool. Past and present intermingle. This card art is sweet, but add the boost value of the top card of your discard pile to this card's value. Like mechanically, that's really neat, but thematically, it also is super cool. Like because you can plan for that, so it's like methodical, but it's also taking value from like what you've done. I don't know. It's so cool. And then I actually the art for the scheme card, Travelers of the Night, is my phone's background because it's so sweet.
Yeah, no, I mean they like I said, this deck it's meant to be played a lot. It's meant to be. I think they all are obviously, but I think personally it's going to be the one that I'm probably going to end up most playing. Pre pre playing Moon Knight as much as I did, I would have told you I'm going to be a Luke Cage main. I was so set on playing Luke Cage more and more. I still think I'm going to play him a lot, Luke Cage, but Moon Knight's slowly becoming quite possibly my favorite deck of the 3. Um,
Yeah, man, I'd be eating good as a Moon Knight fan right now. I got this deck, which is so good. I got the show, which is pretty good. Even like there's like the little detail on. So he has the 3 hero cards, right? And they gave each one a different quote for the different like identities. Yeah. Moon Knight's got "I'm not real," which is like classic. Khonshu, "You are my son," also terrific. And then the best one, Mr. Knight's "I've died before. It was boring, so I stood up." And then each card even gets like a little drawing of their like hoods or masks. Just there's a lot of care here that I as a fan latched onto and appreciated. Also the hieroglyphics at the end of the dial.
I think there's a lot of hieroglyphics like throughout the whole scenes of these. So
yeah,
definitely up there. Probably gonna be a great deck to just have fun with. Also, that's the part I like on defense for 4 with Mr. Knight. You're going to win a lot of 4 combats.
Yes, you are.
People who say you don't haven't played Achilles and then lost to Heal all the time. Like, Heal doesn't lose as much as people think it does. I think it's going to be the same with that's the part I like. 4s are hard to beat in this game. Harder than you think. So,
yeah, I really like everything about this deck. Like, there's a lot of something with Alice that I really like Alice. I play Alice a lot, and in this tournament, I like whipped her out like way more often than I really should have. But I really like her. But one thing that I tend to do is I will boost with cards that let me manage the flip, and then at the end of the game, I'll be stuck in a position where I can't effectively switch between large and small. But this deck, like, I don't think that will ever be something that you struggle with, right? Because you automatically switch at the end of every turn. But barring that, like he has options. I just really like how this deck is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's flexible in every role too, and I really mean that every single role. He's flexible in all three of them. Where sometimes you just can't do that with Alice, or you can't,
Or
you can't
Jekyll
be
and Hyde. Yeah,
flexible, or Jekyll and Hyde, you can't be flexible.
yeah.
So
I like that
really well
each
made.
identity. I mean, like Khonshu obviously is the coolest one because you get the +2 on attack and you avoid damage other than like combat damage. And I can see how like a lot of people would say that was the best one, but I think that each one brings like a very valuable aspect. So when I was playing him, I never was like, ah man, I gotta be like Moon Knight next. Like moving 2 spaces for free at the start of your turn is valuable always, all the time. Like being Mr. Knight and getting +1 to my defense values valuable all the time. So that's an aspect of the deck that I really like. There's not an identity where you're like, I got to get out of this as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, and it also forces a lot of players to play differently on their cards too, because Sherlock's hating the fact that Conchu exists. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly. Yeah, you're the identities are. You have to play around the identities for sure, and you have to manage them. But it also makes your opponent change how they're going to play because they have to play Moon Knight's game. Because if you're on Mr. Knight and you're +1, and to your point earlier, like I have a 4 versatile in my hand, and for whatever reason or you've deduced that, you're not going to attack me. My defense is a 5, and maybe that was your game plan, or maybe that was like with a different character your best option. Or I'm Conchu and you can't scheme damage me. Like you have to play my game now. You have to you have to work around what I can do. So I just really like that. It's thematically very on point.
yeah, and that's kind of wrapping back to kind of what I meant to at the beginning. People are going to figure out this. People are going to figure out how to play this optimally, even with cards that they didn't expect to get, and they will pull wins that they probably should have lost. Um, I think he's going to be the most chance to break the meta. Will he? That's way too early for me to even try to guesstimate. I don't think so, but I can see him being that weird like A-ish tier where he's not big three, he's not Yananga, but he can give a fight when he needs to.
He's
We'll
my
find
baby
out,
boy.
and yeah, we'll find out in time. Time
he's
will tell.
he's my baby boy, Michael. I'm going to
That he
learn
is.
how to play him so well.
Speaking of baby boys, we have a lot of crying going on about a extra spicy type of
Ooh,
gameplay.
what a segue, Mike.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying to learn the Segway game. You've mastered it. I'm trying to become the apprentice.
My goodness, step that game up, Mike. That
I
was
know. I came
good.
out swinging too. I came out swinging with this.
Oh my goodness. You just came out, bro, and you just wanted to stoke the flames, didn't you?
Oh, did I? Oh, did I?
Yeah, but did you bring the devil with you? That's the question.
Oof. No. Uh, um, Ghost Rider.
Hmm.
He can.
Ghost
He's
Rider.
he's got the zoomies and he's got the rooms.
Oh, the zoomy zooms.
Do
Everybody's
we?
talking about the zoomy zooms. Mike, why
Do
don't
we want to
you?
start there? Do we want to start there, or do we want to end there? Let's ask that question to begin.
Oh, okay. What do you
Why don't
think
we end
about the?
there? Why
Why
don't
don't
we
you?
end
Wait,
there?
yeah. What do you think about the deck? And we're gonna pretend the zoomy zooms doesn't exist.
Let's pretend the zoomy zooms don't exist. The deck, I think, is almost weak. He doesn't have high defense. He has two cards that he can use for better than a 5 value defense or better than a 4 value defense, I believe. One of them is the one that uses how much hellfire you have, and it's whatever you have, that is your defense. So you can have a flat 5.
Hmm.
Fantastic. I think of that though, kind of like as a Beowulf's working. You know, it's a versatile, same
Yep.
way. Are you going to use working on offense? There's opportunity, but it's probably going to be used on defense. Um, he has the one that I believe it's the Deal with the Devil. It's a 2. It's a pure blue
Yep.
defense.
Yep.
You may spend any amount of Hellfire, increase this card by that amount. Without talking about the zoomies, you start to wonder where your Hellfire is valuable, right? Um, I think that if there is no zoomies, you're going to use a lot of Hellfire on defense, and you're going to need it. Um,
Okay.
Pennant Stare.
is going to be this awkward place of I need it for my defense so I don't just get obliterated by beast form. And then also, if you don't know, if you hit a penance stare into Alice
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
and
say. It was like you attack with this card every time
and
you play
and
Alice.
you hit Looking Glass, and Looking Glass is a what? It's a 2, right? And then
A
if it's
value,
a
yes.
yeah, it's a 2 value, but it has the 4 boost.
Yeah,
So immediately it's a 7.
yeah,
And then if you spend the 2 Hellfire, it is now an 11.
yeah. It's an 11 attack, bro. Wiping out
Why are you Yeah.
nine health with one attack. It's pretty snazzy.
It's a it's his best card.
It's pretty snazzy.
Probably his best card. Now the other card that I think is his best card, I think he has 2 really great cards. That is one of them. The other one is I call it get out of jail free card for those who play Monopoly. The Blaze of Glory. As we know, it was ruled
Did you
many a times.
just reference Monopoly, Mike?
This is a board game podcast, John. We represent board games across the United States and the world.
All right, all
Monopoly
right.
is well known.
Fair enough. Fair
Yes,
enough.
I did. Yes, I did. Not proud of it, honestly. I just had to.
Do
Um,
not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Do not collect $100. Yep. Blaze of Glory is you're going to spend any amount of high Hellfire, deal that much damage to each fighter in Ghost Rider's zone, including Ghost Rider. Why is that get out of jail free? Say you're against Invisible Man. You're both in the same zone. You attack with this card. He can't cancel. You have 5 Hellfire. You have 1 health, and he has 5 health. And he blocks with the 4, but he can't get out of the zone. So he's not taking whatever the case may be. He blocks where he blocks the full damage. He stays in your zone. You deal 5. You know he's going to kill you on his next turn because he has the Reign of Terror. He just maneuvered into it or something. You blow all your Hellfire on it. Because you died at the same time, it's been ruled before whoever initiated it got it. You won. Congratulations, you win. So get out of jail free. You should lose your next turn. He has 5 health. You have 1. You don't look like you have any other options. You do this, you win. Great card. There's 2 of them. You're going to have many options for it. When to use that card is going to be very interesting. Trick of the trade. I've done it many times early, and it comes back to bite me. So,
Yeah, I bet.
personal recommendation: don't do it early. Save it for later.
That has to be like
Um,
a win condition card, I feel like.
I'm slowly realizing how much of a win condition card it's become for me.
Yeah. I mean,
beyond
especially
that,
if you're
though-
doing the zoomy nonsense.
Yeah. So no zoomies. I just don't think he has the defense to handle people like I'm going to go bold out here. I think Arthur hard counters him with no zoomies. And yes, I said the word that people hate, hard counter. Arthur's going to walk up to this guy and hit him with a 6 or like an 8 every single turn. And there's nothing Ghost Rider's going to do about it because he's going to not have any of his cards other than the 2s or the 3s, like the Wicked Will Burn. Well, he didn't move, but that's the only defense he has in his hands. Well, I got to use it right now. Oh, I just got hit with an 8. Oh well. There's just certain things I don't know if his deck is the strongest defensively, so I think you have to really play aggressively with him.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily a bad thing? No. Do I think he's going to be D tier? No. I think he's going to be okay still. Is he Spike tier? Absolutely not. Poor Spike hanging out by himself probably. Angel might be with him, but I don't think he's going to be there.
Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Gary. Sorry, Gary.
Gary whipped my. Oh no, he almost whipped my butt with Spike one time. I was Robin Hood, but he knows what to do with that guy.
The guy won't give up, and props to him because he's slowly figuring him out. That's all I'm going to say. If anybody's going to do it, Gary's going to crack that pot. So what are your initial thoughts? I've been rambling on about Ghost Rider too long without the zoomies. What are your thoughts?
I like him. He's cool. I mean, he's cool. Like, it just goes back to what I said.
Cool.
What I mentioned earlier. Like, this deck is cool, and if anybody was going to be cool with a capital C, it had better be the freaking skeleton on fire on the motorcycle. And he is. He just is so cool. The art is so cool. The card titles are so cool. I mean, like mechanically he's cool. Like, set your Hellfire to 5. Hell yeah, baby, I will. Like
Hell rides with me. What a card name and what an action,
I
right?
brought the devil with me. The wicked will burn. Blaze of glory. I finally escaped hell. This guy is cool, and I am one of those people who lives and dies by the rule of cool, at least in terms of like media and stuff. That's why the Star Wars prequels, sorry losers, they're awesome. You know why? Because they're cool. There are a bunch of lightsabers in those movies. There are a bunch of different colors to the lightsabers in those movies, and those lightsabers often clash. Star Wars prequels, cool. Ghost Rider deck, cool. Are there people listening to this podcast who are not going to like the equation of Star Wars prequels and the Ghost Rider deck being mentioned in the same sentence? I get it. I don't disagree. I don't agree with you though. So I don't know. Let your insanity guide you, people. Just deal with it. This deck is cool, man. I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I land. His special ability, cool.
Speaking of,
how
about the Vroom Mover? That's what I call it, the Vroom Mover, like a maneuver, but you vroom mover. I stole it from Gary, who might have stole it from somebody else, but I'm using it.
It's the Zoomy. So, okay, so here's the deal. Ghost Rider has 5 Hellfire. So he starts with 5 Hellfire. When you maneuver, you may spend 1 Hellfire. And if you do, you increase Ghost Rider's move value to 4. You may move through opposing fighters, and then you'll deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter that you move through. So this has been a point of contention because a lot of people are saying that if you just do this and you boost, just throw cards away, and you can move, 6 to 7 spaces every time, you can just win without doing anything other than maneuvering, because you can deal 2 damage to your opponent every turn. That's the Zoomies.
That is the Zoomies. We have a differentiating opinion on this. I think it is not good to boost it. I think it is a problematic. You're just throwing cards. It becomes uninteractive with the game. I think it's very strong because it makes the other person, for the most part, if you're on a fairly large map, it's going to make them have to boost to get to you, or some characters just won't be able to catch you ever, and you're just going to roll over them, and they're going to cry in a corner. There are many characters and many maps that will counter this, I'm sure. Heorot will probably be one of them. No arguments here. It's just going to be tough, if you will, to play against this all the time. The games I've seen have always been close. That the games that I think like should be, it's close. But I want to say a resounding. Now that I've seen it more, it's slowly coming down. So I'm going to give it that. I am going to preface it by saying the win rate's slowly coming down. But the games that I have seen, I think it's like 80%. It looks cool. It looks like it's 3 health Ghost Rider to your 0. But in reality, there's nothing you could do to stop it. And that's 8 out of 10 games. Oddly enough, John and I played a game. He was Moon Knight. And how did that work out for us?
I beat you, Mr. Zoomies, because Khonshu can't take combat damage. So I avoided 6 instances of damage, and I ended the game at 5 health. But important to note that I ended at 5 as opposed to 6 because I used that scheme token that also dealt me damage.
God,
yeah, but okay.
I basically, for those who do not listening, I got bamboozled because I forgot that there's those scheme tokens because I'm getting used to it, as I said earlier. And I forgot that I was in the zone. He and I was at 1 health. He flips it. He looks at me dead in the eyes, just flips it and ends the game.
Yeah,
I got bamboozled.
Yeah.
Do I think that do I think that it would have changed the outcome? Maybe, probably not. He's probably still going to win. I think Khonshu's really good into this because of that. Take Khonshu out of the equation. It's still, I think, just tough.
Okay,
tough is my word.
Tough is my word. So, like, the controversy is there's a group of people who feel currently that this breaks the game state enough as to be unacceptable, because you now have a character who theoretically never has to engage in combat to win, which is the core of the game, right? It's a skirmish game. That's what the cards are there for. So then there's another group of people who are like, no, it's not that big a deal. If you just Zumi the whole time, you're going to lose because of Ghost Riders, as you were talking earlier. There's complete lack of defense.
Low defenses, yeah.
Yeah, and like and if you want those defenses to be good, you have to spend Hellfire, which takes away from the Zumi. And then other people are like, okay, but you have like a gazillion ways to gain Hellfire. So the question is, basically this is a race, right? If you're a Ghost Rider and you want to Zumi and play as people have been calling it quote unquote degenerate, if you want to make this degenerate play, never attack, only Zumi, you will be able to do that more effectively with some fighters than others, right? Like Robin and Alice, they have 13 health. You only have to do this 7 turns, right? In order to win. Other people, like you mentioned Arthur as like a hard counter, which is an interesting thought. They're at 18 health. You need 9 turns, right, in order to get that down. Did I do that math right? Yeah, that sounds right. You need 9 turns in order to do it. So what the question is can these fighters deal 17 damage to Ghost Rider through attacks, through taking on his low defenses, quicker than Ghost Rider can deal 2 damage per turn to take you out? I am of the opinion that yes, most fighters can do so. I know that there's like a whole bunch of people who are like up in arms about this, but I just feel, and like maybe this makes me a yes man, and honestly, if it does, I can't say that I care that much. But like they tested this deck for a year, right? They put all this development time into it. They packaged it. They sent it out. My understanding is that they even tested the degenerate style of play. And when this deck was being made, I mean, like this deck was announced pre that like premier tourney, like in January of 2021. So the deck was already tested and designed and made before we had a competitive scene full of people looking to take advantage of this kind of, again, quote unquote, degeneracy. Like somebody in the Discord was like, "How did nobody think to test this in playtesting?" Which, like, what an ignorant question. I mean, like, it probably it probably did get tested, and if it didn't, it's because at that point, like, who is thinking to play it this way? And like maybe this is a flaw in me and how I'm looking at the game, but to be dead set honest with you, like I never would have played this deck and even thought to just do that every turn. Somebody pointed out in the Discord, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's a thing." And I like my mind was blown. I was like, why would you even like how did you even get to that mode of thought? Which again, that's not like on the community, that's really just on me on how I play. But I just have faith that this was tested. And I think Brian even said that it was. That they tested this and they found that it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, Mike, you feel a little more strongly than I do about it. You think it's a bigger deal and it is a little game breaking.
Well, everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion, and so are you. So, I'm just kidding.
No, it's cool. We can have a little healthy disagreement.
No. Here's where I stand. Like I said, 8 out of the 10 games I watch, and this isn't against, this isn't within its own deck. For some reason, for the life of me, I can't think of the name.
What?
The name of the
set?
deck here.
Redemption Row?
Redemption Row. Thank you.
Yeah.
Little late for me, guys. Little late for me is all. Redemption Row. Within the set, I think Luke Cage just gets wiped by it. There's not much you can do. You can hope that Misty Knight survives it enough, get your commanding impacts off. You can bust him with Sweet Christmas all you want. Can you get through the health quicker than he can do his stuff? Good question. Not too sure. It doesn't look good for Luke Cage when I've done it. Done it against Robin. Doesn't really look good for Robin. Done it against Sherlock. Sherlock whips Ghost Rider's butt because he takes that scheme, that 5 Hellfire scheme, and tosses it out of your hand with the Eliminate. Yeah. Then he takes your other cards and takes it away from you so you can't do those later to try to get back more Hellfire. So it's not that it's an all-encompassing, I'm going to win every game. I think it's more so what I was worried about is it's winning. It it shouldn't be this way because it's so non-interactive, and that's why I have such a problem with it. But I also try to be devil's advocate on the other side. You're gonna adapt your gameplay to it, right? Or it's gonna eventually fizzle out, and we just won't see it really. Um,
I just don't think it's the most effective way to win as Ghost Rider.
yeah, and the problem is when I look at Ghost Rider, I don't think he's gonna be that strong. I don't think he's gonna be like I don't think he's just I just don't know where he's gonna fit well. Do I think he's gonna be? I think I said it already. You know, I don't think he's gonna be lowest of lows, but I don't think he's gonna be where I picture Moon Knight and Luke Cage to be. I figure Moon Knight and Luke Cage are gonna be a little higher than Ghost Rider. Will the Zoomies change that? I think so. I think that changes it drastically. Um, but
Well,
we'll find out. Time will
I
tell.
mean, if you're listening and you don't already know, Brian and Noah have said that they are quote unquote monitoring the situation, and they will have a solution if the Zoomies gets to be too oppressive. So what that means to you as a community is you just need to be playing this a lot.
Play it as much as you can, and make sure that if you do play it, let people know about it.
Yeah,
That's really it. Just be vocal.
that's what it
Um,
comes down to.
Probably don't want to try to say don't start no heated arguments with anybody.
Yeah, no, please
We're
don't.
trying to be friendly.
We're not encouraging you to go out and throw some like toxic
No.
negativity out in the community.
Yeah, we're not trying to say that this deck is trash and why are you doing this, or I just played this against this and this is absolutely wrong. We're not trying to do that, but shedding light on, hey, I tried to do the zoomies and I did it against Robin Hood and it just felt hopeless and I just felt like this isn't the game that I signed up for. I felt non-interactive. This wasn't fun. Saying things like that, but versus being angry about it is, I think, right. And I think Brian and Noah are always open to conversations of it. They obviously have been, so, and they're going to monitor it. So can't help them, or we can't help the situation one way or the other without letting them know. And no matter what the decision ends up being, I will wholeheartedly agree with it. Um, if it means that I eat my words and the zoomies aren't as bad, then I eat my words and the zoomies aren't bad. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I will be paying close attention because we each like being right a lot. So
we do like being right a lot.
We'll be monitoring the situation just because we'll want to tell the other one in a couple of months you were wrong and I was right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So I mean, that's some Ghost Rider spiciness. Okay, what do you think overall about the set, Mike? I mean, taking into account the controversy, the validity of it notwithstanding, I mean, it exists, right? You can't pretend that people aren't talking about it. So I'm glad that we talked about it. But like beyond that, like, how do you feel about the set overall? Ghost Rider's fitting it, Luke Cage, Moon Knight, etc., etc.
I still think good. I still have high hopes.
Yeah.
I do. It always comes back to this, right? It always comes back to Buffy. Sorry, Suzanne, if you do listen to this. Suzanne, I am so sorry.
Does it always have to come back to Buffy, Mike?
Yes, it does, okay? They're just significantly less power than the other sets. And Hubaris, if you're listening, you prove me wrong every week with your matches. You really do. Or Hubaris. I don't know. There's a joke on how we pronounce your name every time, too. Collie, you're out there. You're fighting for Angel a lot. Power to you. Gary, we know what you try to do with Spike. We should pay you to keep doing that, honestly. It'll be much better than sitting than them. I think it's a great set. I think it's actually going to be, I could be wrong on this, but I think the set was meant to be played as a 3-player set.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know that it was designed only for that, but it is designed with that in mind.
Yeah, so I mean, like, how many games do you play with only 3 players? Not many.
No. Yeah, we don't do that a whole lot. We should bring Tony over and we should do some 3-player with this.
We should. I think that might actually be what this is meant for.
Yeah.
And the question will be which one of you two decide to make a friendship and gang up on the other right away. That'll be the real question, right? But
yeah. I like
I don't know. I
this
like it.
set. I like the flavor of this set a whole lot. A whole lot. It's like thematically, it's very cohesive. I think the characters feel like their comic book counterparts, and that's important to me. As like a guy who has been reading comic books week to week since he was 11, you know what I mean? Like it's important to me that these characters feel like those comic books, and they do. The art is super cool. The production design is great, and the mechanics and the flavoring of it all is just on point. So to me, like there were people who were a little upset about the price point being at $50 because you're paying the Disney and Marvel tax, and I get it. But like the thing about being a comic book fan is I am very used to paying the Marvel tax. So
Yeah, it
as
ain't cheap.
as a board game fan, I think that this is great, and as like a Marvel fan, as a comic book fan, as a collector of a lot of this stuff. I mean, like Mike, you see my office every day when
The
we do,
statues,
yeah,
beautiful
like
statues.
the just big, like I'm used to. I understand what it means to be a lover of comic books. So I think that like just as somebody who loves comics, like this is a great like thing to own, to have. Like it's beautiful. I mean this is just to call it what it is. Like it's a beautiful set. It's a beautiful thing to look at. The miniatures are great. The card art is great. There's so much love and care put into just the presentation and aesthetics of this that they're like, if I didn't play this game, like if I'd never heard of this before and I just saw this on the shelf at like a Barnes and Noble, I would pick it up. So yeah, overall I'm in love with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also like how it gives you such a variety. Same with both Battle of Legends. You have a character who's going to be kind of difficult to play, a character that's going to be bruiser like, and you're going to, kind of like how I say it, difficult to play. I think of something like Alice, that mind game. I think of that with Moon Knight. Right,
Yeah.
when am I going to have to go into this mode? How am I going to play the next couple cards? Bruiser like, I think Arthur, I think Luke Cage, and then Ghost Rider, somewhere in the middle of all of it. Like
Yeah.
it's just different type of gameplays. I don't think Restoration does this on accident. Um,
Yeah.
really knocks it out of the park.
So
That
we
they
have
haven't put out much they haven't put really, even as much as I trash on the Buffy set, it has its place, right?
well, yeah,
It
those
might be
maps are
2v2,
stupendous.
and the maps. If you didn't know, Suzanne's doing a map vote on Board Game Geek
Yeah, on Board Game Geek.
for, I don't know if they announced for the reason why. I think I know the reason why. I just don't think
They've hinted at it in the Discord, but I don't know if that was like confirmation or not, so I won't say.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't want to be that guy. So, go vote for your best maps. Number one for me is probably still Bronze. Number two is probably still kind of Yukon or Soho, and then Sunnydale's right in there.
Yukon.
Oh yeah. As much
Sorry,
as the,
Mike. We have to
Oh, yeah.
cancel this podcast because
I
I'm
know.
not your friend anymore.
Do you know why? Because I'm a Muldoon.
Yukon.
I'm a Muldoon player, and people
You
who figure out how to play
disgust
Muldoon on that
me.
map, I know it's disgusting. People who learn how to play ranged fighters on Yukon just start to win rates go insane. My Muldoon on Yukon, I love playing it. Not to chip off my shoulder, but
This
I just
guy.
really like that. I just
This
really
guy.
like that.
My favorite
Um,
maps. I voted for Bronze, Sherwood, and Soho.
Yeah, I think Soho's a pretty solid one too. But this doesn't have to be a map podcast. This is a wonderful raft podcast for this debate right now.
Ayo.
Also,
Yeah.
the layout of raft is pretty neat too.
The layout of the raft is
Closer than I
fun.
thought. Closer than I think. Like I look at the
Yeah.
map as a whole, you're like, oh, this could be a large map, and it's actually fairly close.
It is. I'm actually excited to see like the meta that crops up around this map because it's pretty different than all the other ones, and I don't think that you and I got to really dive into it too much because of the, the tokens.
Yeah, the tokens. I think Medusa's gonna have fun on this map a lot.
I don't want to
I think
like pick on the tokens too much, but like they're also like they're also kind of like an eyesore. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it's echoing what you said. It is my least favorite map interaction. Real quick, favorite map interaction?
Favorite?
Yeah.
Ooh, prob Probably the one way
Yep, Paddock,
on Raptor
hands down,
Paddock.
not even
Yeah.
close. When you can do the Dratic, I call it the Dratic.
The
We're
Dracula
gonna
on the
trade.
Raptor Paddock. Yeah.
I'm trademarking it. It's the Dratic. Um,
What is the
when you
Dratic for those listening?
okay, everybody knows it by now. It's kind of like the Thing, right? You're not supposed to talk about it, but then it
Right.
happens.
Right.
So
Everybody knows.
this is some insider information that a certain Zero Skater probably doesn't want out. All right.
Oh, sorry, Zero Skater. We're
Sorry, Zero Skater.
leaking it to everybody.
But you turn one. I do it differently than most people. I murder my sister if I have it. I murder the sister right away because I want the extra card.
Yeah.
You turn one, boost into the Paddock on your turn one, set yourself up right, not in the corner spot in the Paddock the one way, but the one right before it, and then you pull the other person with the Ravening with your second action into the Paddock right in front of you, and they're trapped because it's a one-way arrow. They have to go through you. They have to have a movement effect. So if you're getting somebody like Robin Hood and you're Dracula and you get that off turn one, Robin Hood has no movement effects. He can't move through you. He's stuck there for as long as you want him there. And every turn, you'll be able to hit him for a damage and draw a card. So it is the Dratic. It is angry because eventually you'll get your combo off where you have your bidding into your beast form. And you'll just know their hand. You'll know how to play against it. You'll know when to leave or when not to. And if you do leave, you still got 2 more Ravenings to get them right back where you thought you should have them. So, very powerful. Bruce Lee can do also a version of this, just not as cool.
Just not as cool.
Dracula on the Paddock, man. It is, I think, one of his maps.
Little did our listeners know when they tuned into the Redemption Row response podcast, they were going to get some spicy meta tournament competitive tips.
For the next tournament that may come up in the next, hopefully, year. We might have another one in the fall, they said, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got more Marvel coming. We've got Hell's Kitchen coming out. So we're recording this on Thursday, the 31st. I think you guys are going to listen to it tomorrow, April 1st. April Fools, everybody. We're not doing anything. We're not cool. No pranks on you.
I wish we had a cool prank. Here, I'll think of one off the top of my head. Spike is the best character in Unmatched. April Fools. There you go. Sorry, Gary. Gary.
Jeez, man. I'm really sorry, Gary.
We're really hurting Gary today.
Really
if he listens, he's just gonna. I'm gonna get some text from Gary.
Honestly, the prayer has to be that Gary's been lying to us this whole time and he's never listened. Otherwise, we're getting some angry texts tomorrow.
We might be canceled.
Yeah. So as of today, people have gotten emails that their Hell's Kitchen sets have shipped. So those are on their way. Hell's Kitchen is Daredevil, Elektra, Bullseye. So if Moon Knight is my favorite Marvel character, Doom would be second. We're probably never going to get to see Doom, unfortunately, because Marvel doesn't like the Fantastic Four. Unfortunately, that's like a whole other that would be like a whole other podcast for me to discuss that history. But then Daredevil would be third. So I love Daredevil. I'm really excited about that whole set. It looks pretty cool from what we've seen. We haven't seen everything yet. Mike and I will be on hand to do another episode like this when that set eventually comes to my house. Are you excited, Mike, for more Marvel? I mean, after that, we have 2 more sets coming later in the year: Teen Spirit and For King Country.
Yeah, I say more Marvel the better. I think the reason for that is there's so much intricacy with each Marvel character, right? That you can do stuff with them. Do I think that we'll get more than this? Maybe, maybe not. That's obviously a licensing issue. I don't know that side. I think in the grand scheme of things, I think as long as you can get more Marvel, why not? If you can't, well, we got, I think, a fair amount, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have 13 if you include Deadpool. I mean, my stance on it has always been I love this game. I really like the team at Restoration. Marvel is like printing money. I want them to be successful, and so if they get Marvel and Marvel sells, that means that I get more sets from the public domain or maybe other IPs. The success of this only enables me to get more of what I really want down the line, which is more characters in the vein of Alice and Little Red, public domain characters with their spin on it,
And I do think that poking at Marvel, you're going to get a crowd that Marvel brings.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
publicity wise. Marvel, the name, you slap the name Marvel on something, ever since, I'm going to argue MCU, but ever since MCU got huge, I mean, Marvel's just been, you slap it on anything, you know? Hey, this car gets 500,000 miles, but we put the name Marvel on it. I'll take two. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it'll sell. It'll sell
yeah,
because of the name.
yeah. Well, I mean, God bless Robert Downey Jr., right? So,
Yeah, save the franchise.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, I'm excited for more Marvel. I've always like been excited for the Marvel, even though like when this was announced, there was like there was a concern, and I thought that even if I didn't wholeheartedly agree, like I thought it was a valid concern that like okay, well we're gonna get 12 fighters who are from Marvel because at the time that was like half of what was even like available because Battle of Legends Volume 2 wasn't out yet, and so like I got it, but I don't know. After looking at this set and seeing kind of what Hell's Kitchen is doing, and like play testing the two that are upcoming, Teen Spirit and for King Country, with no spoilers, guys, sorry, but um, like they're all doing things that are mechanically interesting.
yes, and I
They're
think that's what Marvel can bring more than anything is you can make something out of, I wanted to do this. I think one of those things is I want to do this in a deck. Well, how do I implement that with a character? And then all of a sudden Marvel comes in and there's a character who has something even vaguely similar. Stretch it out. Why not?
yeah,
Why
yeah.
not?
I don't know. I think like the concern for more Marvel would make more sense to me if this set dropped and it was a dud, like if it like seemed like kind of boring or rehashed, but or like dumbed down for a more commercial audience, like because knowing that this will reach more people. But it doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like this is an attempt within the game's design and mechanics to be something a little more mainstream. Like that doesn't come across to me. Like the characters are still like a little complicated. Like Moon Knight, I think, is on par with like Beowulf and Little Red in terms of character design and complication. And like Luke Cage and Ghost Rider are a little more vanilla than Moon Knight, but they're not like Arthur level straightforward.
Yeah, Arthur's gonna walk up. I'm gonna hurt you. That might be that might be Luke Cage's shtick. But you're right though. I mean, it's not as it's. Hey man, people like vanilla. You know what I mean?
Well, that's my favorite ice cream flavor. My wife makes fun of me for it all the time.
All right, guys, we're gonna have to end the podcast immediately. It's been real. Um,
Oh no, what is your favorite ice cream flavor, Mike?
I have a tie, and as crazy as it sounds, it is the two that are just like vanilla. I am a strawberry and a chocolate guy.
So come at me then if my
I
favorite
know.
flavor is
I know.
vanilla. I thought you were
Um,
gonna hit me with some like Rocky Road nonsense. You're gonna say
no, the
chocolate.
closest
You're gonna say,
chocolate malted crunch from
you're gonna say
Thrifties.
chocolate and vanilla, or
If
chocolate
if
and
you ever had
strawberry.
chocolate malted crunch from Thrifties, that's
You're gonna
probably
come
it.
for me.
Chocolate malted crunch. Those things looked amazing. That was an amazing ice cream.
Ridiculous.
I know. I just had to say it. Somebody had to say it. So like we said, eventually we'll go over Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
And I think eventually when the other sets come out, I think this is something that will be reoccurring. Is
Yeah.
episodes on our first opinions. Again, I reiterate once again, opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I like.
take
I
it with a
really,
grain of salt.
I really didn't want to call this like a review, right? Because it's just like our reaction to it. I don't think that we're ever going to be the kind of people who are like, let's review the new because
And then teach you how to play it.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're not here to teach you Unmatched. I mean, I think my tournament history alone probably can echo why not.
Oh yeah,
Um,
seriously.
I mean, we're not up there for that. We'll
No.
leave those videos to baked
The
goods
pros.
and the pros of the scene.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go further into that later. Kind of our first impressions of decks and stuff, and I think this is something that I enjoy. I think you enjoy. Hopefully, our
Yeah.
listeners enjoy. And
yeah,
with
so
that, what do you think the next episode is going to be about?
yeah, well, we can just kind of tell you guys a lot of content for you actually, because the next episode is not going to drop in 2 weeks. It's going to drop in 2 days
Dun
on
dun
dun dun dun
dun.
on Sunday. So by the time you guys are hearing this, it'll be April Fool's Day, April 1st, and you'll have already been pranked by the new ladder setup on League, which is going to be season 1.5, I believe. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so we on Sunday will be on deck. We'll have an interview with Frank, the creator and runner of League, and we will also have on Chadicular, Dedicular. He goes by so many names, but he also like does a lot of like the technical stuff for League. He does like a lot of the Discord bot stuff like that. So we have an interview with the both of them, and we will also have previewed for you an exclusive reveal of the next season of the ladder. That is to say, not the one that you guys are looking at right now, not 1.5, not the April Fool's Day one. The actual genuine next season of the ladder will be exclusively revealed in our interview with Frank on Sunday.
That's correct. We hope you tune in for that. As always, we want to say that if you have any emails, comments, questions, concerns, email us, defenderresolvesfirst@gmail.com. That is just our podcast name, all one word, at gmail.com. We love emails. We had wonderful emails. We'd like to
Yeah,
get more.
we do. We do like the emails. We've got some cool ones. And this is our first reaction video to a new set. So what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What did you think we could have done?
Yeah,
A little more.
what do you want to hear? If
Yeah.
we do more of these reaction sets, what do you want to hear? We kind of wing it. I think that's our, joking. We've been joking about winging it for 5 episodes or 4 or 5 episodes, and I think
Yeah.
it's just a theme that it's working out for us. I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are for the ride.
Yeah, well, man, we're having a blast. So definitely, like, yeah, I mean, we have never done a reaction podcast before, and it's a little uh, different than I thought it would be because we don't have any visuals. So just kind of talking through this stuff was a little interesting. So let us know what you thought, if you liked it, and what you'd like to see.
All right, and well, John, as you know, in Unmatched, Defender resolves first.
You'll love to see it, Mike.